Welcome to day 189 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of February 2010, which was Shutter Island.
I like how in the very beginning of this, we were like,
It was.
well, we were kind of making fun of it because like the music was like really odd and like overpowering, and like there was a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but there were several like really like weird kind of performances that were like, what the fuck? Like it was just weird, right?
Mm.
And then we just kind of stopped and just watched the rest of it, and now we're like, at least for me, I'm kind of like, huh.
Yeah.
At the end of it, I thought it was a pretty interesting. Okay.
I kind of, well, if anything, you know when like you were making a joke about something with like friends or whatever, but then like
Yeah.
someone mentions something that's like really realize that your joke has like been like too far given the situation, and you're just like you feel like a complete asshole.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this movie right now. Because like the stuff we're making fun of, I'm like, oh, oops.
Yeah, really dark very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's not like the dark sort of way where it's like Inglorious Bastards. It was kind of in the dark sort of way, kind of like, this is really mental.
This movie is very interesting. Okay, wait.
Mhm.
We can't talk about some of it
Most of it.
without a spoiler tag.
Yeah.
So,
Before we get to
Uh,
that.
I guess verdict first, and then truth story, and then we should go to the spoilers. I
Oh
don't
god.
know. Because this is gonna be hard to talk about if we just are like, it was a movie about
Yeah.
Shutter Island, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Well, let me just put it this again. There is some awkward stuff at the beginning. And some of it, like the music especially, is still like weird. I don't really get like what the deal is with
The
that.
music never really. It's always very dramatic.
Yeah, well,
Overly.
even then,
That's-
I feel like, especially at the beginning, it was like way too much. Again, for like
Yeah.
It
no
was really
reason.
heavy. It
Yeah.
was really heavy.
Where
at
like
the
later
beginning.
on, it does kind of fit a bit better. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's used in a more appropriate way later, but in the
Yeah.
beginning, it's kind of like
Maybe what happened was that they created all the music for like the middle and the end, but then they realized they didn't create anything for the beginning.
parody our own movie.
But so there's that. But again, there's again like the performances. There's not some other things where you're like, wait a minute, that like seem like either problems or weird things. But then they, by the end of the movie, they're not. So
Yeah.
it's kind of boils down to like if this kind of tone and this kind of story is something you want to see, and
There's-
I overall like this, but I still am not really sure how much or where I would put it like on a ranking list.
I'm
I'm
about the
still a little bit confused about some points of it, but I can't really bring
Mhm.
them up at the moment.
Anything non-spoilery that we can talk about now.
I guess in terms of like the visuals and everything of how they portrayed it in the beginning as having like some light and everything, and then they mentioned the storm was coming, and then it turned quite dreary and stuff afterward.
Mhm.
That was interesting.
Yeah, and then I don't even know if I can talk about the visions or not, or if that's considered a spoiler.
No,
Because
I
those
think
are done.
that's
No,
fair.
because they showed them in the beginning too.
Okay, okay, so the flashbacks and like the visions are pretty interestingly done because there's some decent artistic direction with them.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where at first when you don't really know what's going on, you're like, what the fuck? But then it's like you realize what actually is happening, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely something where it's like, okay, once you get what's going on with the visions, which, you know, that's not like, again, it feels like a spoiler, but it's not really.
Yeah.
It's then you're like, okay, and then I think it does work as a weird kind of artistic thing where you're like, huh, okay, I see how things are going, and it's strange,
also-
but it works in the context.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it also provides like a way for you to look back on it and be like, okay, yeah, I kind of
Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then Leonardo DiCaprio is, of course, the main dude, and he does do quite well here.
Yeah.
Again, the other people, it's a little bit harder to say because of stuff. But I think everyone, again, by the end of the movie, like, I didn't think anyone like did a bad job in terms of performance. I don't think, like, you know, again, in terms of looking back on all of this, I wouldn't say like the dialogue is bad or anything like that. It's just, does this really, like, the question is really fundamentally, do I really like this? And I don't quite know how to answer that question. So ironically, I kind of feel very similarly to how I felt after the last movie, Book of Eli, where I'm like, I like it, but, you know, it's kind of like that. So I'm just like,
I guess the thing is that, like, for me, I find the subject matter kind of interesting because it's, you know, a mental ward, and it's about investigating that, and because there is a very rough history with mental institutions because, you know, people were mistreated there and things like that, and the subject matter was really interesting. And then as the story unfolded, like, I found the way it was presented pretty interesting. It's just, I guess there are a couple of story beats that are a little bit weird still.
Weird, and again, I find very confusing. But yeah,
I wouldn't say, at least for me, I don't think by the end of it, I think I pretty much understood everything, but because that's part of the thing, right?
Some parts were a bit hard to follow.
Well, yeah, the whole point is that, like, you know, he's the marshal dude investigating the place, right? He's trying to figure out what's going on. So it makes sense that, you know, during the most of the movie, you're kind of not knowing what's going on, right? That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's interesting. It definitely made us, like, you know, guess our predictions, which were, well,
oh wait, I was right.
You were right, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
But
we'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah, but I don't think you really thought it was the way it actually did it, though.
No, I didn't expect it to go this way. I thought it'd be more played straight.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is, if you're interested at all in kind of what this movie is in general, like, you know, this kind of mystery about a mental institution trying to figure out what's going on about it, then I'd say, sure, go ahead and watch it. You might not love it, but probably not you're going to dislike it.
It's definitely not something you'll regret watching, per se.
Yeah.
But I guess whether it would be something you would want to rewatch again is up to you, really.
It's certainly a journey. It's definitely a journey, and there are some interesting things that they do with, like, how it's shot and directed that you should see. It's the artistic direction is good.
I am actually curious because you mentioned, like, would you want to watch this again? I kind of do, but more so again from the mystery aspect of, like, what are the clues along the way, right? So I'd be curious from that aspect, but kind of, I feel like after that, and I kind of go through that, would I then want to see it again? Probably not. Unless, you know, someone who I was with really wanted to see it, but yeah, so I don't know, I'll have to think about this more in terms of exactly how much I like it, but that's, I guess, my overall opinion before.
I guess.
Should we tell the story first, or should we go into spoilers?
Yeah.
I guess so.
I think this is the first time this has happened, right?
I don't remember. We've done a lot of these.
True.
So
I guess we'll go into the truth stories first, and then we'll go into spoilers, so we don't have to put 2 timestamps.
So this took place on an island, and I've gone fishing on the beach before when I was like 3, and I caught a small, tiny silver fish, and I threw it back into the ocean.
But that's the end of the story.
That's it.
That is the end of the story. You didn't want to monopolize the story, so I gave you one.
No, I was.
The story was a little bit more intricate. We went to a beach on an island, and
It's on an island, actually. I lived on it at one point in my life.
But we were fishing on an island, and we caught these It was kind of the type of fishing where you throw the line in and you have to reel it in really quickly because you're on the ocean and you're trying to get the fish to like catch it and then come with the wave, I guess, and stuff.
Okay.
At which we caught a couple of fish, and then later that evening we grilled them and we ate them and everything too. Tasted good.
Mine was too small to eat. Even for like 3-year-old me.
I think we're like 7 inches. I don't know what kind of fish it was, but it was not a very big fish, but it was like, I guess like 6 inches or 5 inches. I don't remember.
Cool.
I have not fished on a beach, but I have fished at a lake, and we actually caught like pretty decently sized things that we did eat as well. So
Yay.
Oh, there is a lake in this movie too, so I guess that counts, right?
Yeah.
oh yeah, there is a lake. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, no, there isn't. Like, oh yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
On that note too, in preschool I went fishing on a lake and I caught the biggest fish
Aww.
Oh.
in my class. I was so proud. We didn't eat them though, because
You threw them back.
yeah, we threw them back.
I guess you shouldn't teach, preschoolers to kill fish. Seems a bit wrong.
That, and I don't think the scaling and cleaning process of fishing would be very appealing to preschoolers.
So the movie, of course, it's on the mental institution. There's a lot about like stuff about like memories and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh
so,
wait, I think I know what you're going to talk about.
well, hold on. Okay, so of course, I'm sure you've heard the thing about goldfish have memories for like 3 seconds, right?
Yeah.
That is not true.
Yep.
So they have longer memories. I don't remember how long it is, but it's memory itself is more complicated than just like, I remember things from 3 seconds ago, and before 3 seconds ago, I remember nothing, right? It's more complicated than that. And they've actually found evidence of fish, like, way back in like the Silurian, like over 400 million years ago, having like actual long-term memories.
Oh.
Because they've found fossils that hint that they had like, their own like spawning pools, right? So they'd go and like lay their eggs, and then they would come back there later and lay their eggs again, right? So they would have to remember where it is, right? Over, a year. So,
Right.
So it's interesting that like, but for that though, they kind of, at least they don't have this as clear, but it seems like a lot of the other arthropods around that time like didn't really actually have like long-term memory. So they think that could have actually been like some sort of strategy, like an evolutionary advantage for the fish in that regard. So interesting little tidbit of information there, I guess.
For some reason, I just had this really cute image of like little wimpods like scurrying
Oh my god.
across the beach, like remembering their like little holes and stuff.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
And then the mommy Galysopod is like, hello, children.
yeah.
Come to me, hugs all of them.
I'll protect you.
Plot twist, Goose was a mom.
Speaking of plot twists,
Yeah, okay, spoiler time.
Okay, spoilers.
Well, okay, so let me briefly say what I was talking about with the what I was hinting at earlier, where the kind of awkwardness. So, a lot of characters early on act kind of awkward, and the reason for that comes later is like, oh, they're actually like literally playing a part, right?
Yeah.
To convince this guy, and that also the fact that again, it's he's a little cuckoo anyway. So, and the movie's kind of shown from his perspective, so he would perceive these things as more awkward than they already are anyway, right? So, yeah, so that kind of was like, even though we're like, this stuff is weird, but then it's like, wait, it actually makes sense that it's weird. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I just remembered something.
okay. The part that I am very confused. Actually, maybe you guys should talk
Okay,
first. But
let me. I just remember something that I'm like, wait a minute, what about? Because again, I'm thinking back to earlier in the movie and being like, what did this mean in reality, right? And remember, they were interviewing the people, the patients.
Yeah.
And that one woman wrote "run."
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, there was that. She wrote "run," and then a lot of other people also told him that he should escape the island and everything.
Well,
too.
see, I saw it, especially like when you get to the I forgot his name. Is it George something?
George, yeah.
Yeah. I can see that as like that's like hallucination kind of thing, right? That I can believe in that regard. And again, he's already kind of a crazy dude or whatever. But like her, I don't really see what the connection is there, right? Like, I don't know. I don't. That's like one thing where I'm like, wait a minute, maybe there's some explanation. I'm just not following the line. But
the only thing I can think of is if she was also like in on it, where maybe she was actually a nurse and she was put up to it.
And maybe she just like legitimately feels really bad for him or something. I don't know.
There's that too. I don't know.
I guess that's it.
Because
nothing else really
they're
makes
basically like playing into the fantasy right now. So
yeah.
I guess. Man, do you want to speak first?
Okay. When you brought up memories, I remember one of the things I was wondering, which was for a long time I was kind of like, okay, so why is he thinking about like the war? Because I could understand why he was thinking about his wife, because he was like really torn up about her being dead and stuff, and like things like that. But I don't really understand the connection between him and the war. Is it just like to show that he was like violent? And then, you know, with the reveal, I'm just like, are those his memories, or are they like the made up personalities memories? Because it was mentioned that he was a marshal at one point, but I don't know if he made up those memories or not, because they seemed different than the wife memories, and the wife memories were a lot easier to follow for me, because I was like, okay, wife is dead, fine. She keeps popping up, and I guess she's like his conscience.
Thinking the reason the war gets brought into it is because, you know how you see the images of like the frozen people and everything, and the dead bodies and stuff?
Yeah.
So, and then right afterward, it was like the whole thing of how they, like the event itself was basically like the Americans, like they killed a bunch of the German prisoners of war and stuff because they saw all the dead bodies and stuff. I guess the connection there then is that he saw the dead bodies of his children.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And then the wife would be in the position of the German prisoners of war.
Right. Oh, okay, I see.
That's what I'm thinking.
I see.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm confused about is why was he on a boat in the beginning?
Yeah, that is a good point.
Because I'm just like, wait, why would they put him on a boat in the beginning with the other guy and the captain and everything and stuff? Like, I can understand if it started on the island and stuff, but evidently they were coming in from someplace, and I think he doesn't have short-term memory loss, so it's not like they just made like a round on the boat and then he suddenly was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm a U.S. Marshal coming to investigate like this disappearance and stuff. Evidently he had to have been gone from the island for some period of time, that he had like the relapse and he didn't have his medicine and stuff. So I'm just like, wait, how does that play into it, and why would they release him and then bring him back?
Like, I could maybe see it as, like, that they did, like, put him on the boat while he was kind of wigging out, and then maybe they just, like, kept the boat, like, away for a couple days, and then he got into the personality or something, and then they brought... I don't know, like, but, so... Maybe that's something...
I could even see it being a hallucination.
The whole boat thing?
Yeah.
But then the whole beginning and everything...
Yeah,
though.
I feel like that's too much to say.
Yeah, that would be too much for a hallucination, especially when you see how vivid his hallucinations are and everything. In terms of like vivid in terms of like how like artistic they can get and stuff.
Yeah,
I feel
that's true.
like the
I guess I would have to agree with Valen then. It would have to be that he had to either be sedated or he had to have been like completely losing it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they took him out and then I guess he kind of repressed everything.
But he had a gun, right?
Wasn't it a toy?
Yeah, well, that was the thing that really revealed later is that it's the toy gun.
I guess, but somehow I feel like that part, like everything else would have made better sense, but I don't feel convinced about the boat in the beginning.
Mm.
They probably should have just like started on the island. Even if it was just like outside of the gate, then it would still be
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
okay.
I kind of feel like I do want to like watch this again just to kind of now that we know what's going on, how does this work, right? So and because sometimes we think that it's an issue, but then by rewatching it, it's like, oh wait, actually it's not because blah blah blah, right? So or maybe it's just is, right? I don't know. So yeah, it is interesting though how that it is kind of I read something like for the very ending though, and I guess I didn't realize this until I was reading Wikipedia, but the whole thing, it seems that like, oh, he did relapse, right? But then the comment about him saying like, live as a monster or die as a good man thing is that like the idea being that actually he hasn't relapsed, but he can't live with the guilt. So he's like kind of killing himself in a sense, at least mentally.
Okay, I see.
So like I can like, so now that I read that, I'm like, okay, I can see that. I don't know if that's like, if that is totally true or whatever. Well, not that it's true, but I just mean like, I don't know if like that interpretation is necessarily like better or worse. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just don't know. I still don't really know how to feel about this in terms of like, do I like it a lot, like it a little? I don't know.
I feel very like I can appreciate everything about it, but I feel very mixed about it still.
That's fair.
I like it enough from like the stuff that I've mentioned before, but there is something that's like preventing me from saying, oh yeah, I definitely like this movie, but I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel similar. Like, I feel like there's something about it where I'm like, but I can't narrow it down.
I guess another thing, I mean, I think they kind of convinced us of this near the end and stuff, that he did kill the wife and everything, but some part of me is also like, but what if he did actually come to the island as like a normal person?
Oh, like he is actually the marshal, but they convinced him that
because if that's the case, then the boat makes sense, but then they're slowly turning him insane and stuff.
I guess if you go off of that interpretation, then he has to be a normal person if the boat is to have any weight.
I don't know.
Because I'm just like that. But at the other hand, the ending would seem strange then, because he admits to it, and then the visions and everything wouldn't make any sense. But
okay, so there is like one comment that one of the character, I don't remember which like old dude it was. It was either the bald one or the white-haired one. I don't remember. But one of them said that he was the most dangerous patient. Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay, so
would you put that dangerous patient, let him roam around and go around with his role playing and everything if he was the most dangerous patient?
Okay, so there are two things I want to say about this. One is just based off of like his flashback, if it's real. He wasn't even the one who killed his kids. He killed his wife because she killed their kids, and I don't know if he's actually better than his wife.
Yeah, no, that's the okay. That did bother me because I'm like, that doesn't seem like that's. They made it seem more again like, oh, he's a super crazy wacko or whatever. But it's like, if my wife killed my,
self-defense.
I'm like, if my wife killed my kids, I'd be fucking pissed too. Like, come on, you know.
But that really warranted him being locked up in a mental institution.
Yeah, okay, that does bother me. I don't know why I forgot about that.
At worst, he should have gotten maybe 5 years for manslaughter because he did kill someone, but she killed their 3 kids.
Yeah.
And
I can understand if the wife went to the mental institution.
Well, I mean, she's dead, but...
Well, yes, but if she was alive...
If she wasn't dead.
Why she went to the mental institution.
Yeah, so...
I don't understand why he went to the mental institution.
Yeah, okay, that's a completely fair point. Now, okay, yeah...
Okay.
Okay.
The other thing is that, okay, I did think about it and I was like, okay, the only other way I can see him being the most dangerous, it wouldn't even be like in a physical way. It would be he's the most dangerous to himself because he created this other identity, but
I don't see, but again...
He didn't kill anyone besides his wife.
But also...
There's 3 kids.
Even if you want to say he's, dangerous in that way, well, it seems pretty clear that, you just literally lock people up in cells in C block or whatever, so, like, why don't you just do that to him?
Yeah.
Like, what's the problem with that, right? If you're so worried about him being so dangerous to himself or other people, just literally stick him in a hole, because you're clearly okay with doing that to other people.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I don't think he's that dangerous.
And that needed to go into more detail, so, okay. I guess there's a legitimate thing I can point to and say, this bothers me. Okay, now I feel satisfied.
Satisfied too.
Because I was like, wait, we're forgetting something.
Yeah.
He didn't kill these kids. She did.
Yeah. Okay. Not only, it's just like, I mean, yeah, that's kind of an understandable situation and stuff.
Yeah, okay. I mean, overall, I still like the movie just because I think the emotion works well and Leonardo's performance is good and, the theming is good. But yeah, okay, that is a pretty big problem now that I think about it, so... Yeah, okay.
Alright.
Well, I guess now we know where to stand on this a bit better.
Oh, don't kill your kids!
Now you know. Yes. You didn't know that before.
Or rather, don't kill your wife after she kills your 3 kids, because you'll be the more dangerous one.
Apparently. Well, anyway. Next up is... Oh no, I know what's next.
No. I don't want to rewatch this.
The sad thing is that we contributed to the problem with this movie.
Yeah. See, I didn't. I actually, you know what? No, I'm going to save this for next movie, because I have a legitimate story about this. So, okay.
Oh boy.
So, I'll get to that for that.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah. Ooh, exciting. Okay, so see you then. Bye.
Bye.